just grab a piece of paper and just get ready, get your pen ready, because this guy is going to be dropping some knowledge, you know.
Yeah, nuggets, man, nuggets.
But let me go back to Victor Antonio, the man of the night. He's going to be talking to us about different ways that he used to sell. He's a very charismatic person. He's awesome. One thing, he took a company, and he was telling the story. I think I remember that he said that they told him that he needed to make $10 million a year. Is that right, Jason? He was like 10 million and he just blew it up to about like 40 million. So it was like a story, like a crazy. Say, listen, you got a job. This company have made $10 million. This section, this little region is making $10 million a year. If you make $10 million, you will have a job next year. And he just took over and made 40 million. And then after that, made 100 million. He just unbelievable. He was the president of a company that made $420 million. 420. That's $420 million. And he was a vice president of another company who made $3 billion last year. That's with a B. $3 billion. You know?
B like bank account.
Yeah, big time, man. He has written 12 books. This guy have talked with Zig Ziglar, Les Brown. He was at the 10X. He have talked with Giuliani. He have talked to Rudy Giuliani. Oh, the man of the house is here. Victor Antonio, thank you for joining us. I'm just giving the people a little bit of input. I'm Dr. Chevere. We got Jason Howland in the house. And we got the special person over here, Victor Antonio. I just give the people a little bit of input about you. Go ahead and introduce yourself. The way that this software works is like as soon as you start talking, it will go to you. And as soon as somebody asks a question, basically we're just going to let you talk. If we have any question, we will ask you and we go from there. Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself. The man of the hour, Victor Antonio.
Chevy, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great, my man. I'm doing great.
All right, man. Looking forward to it.
You have no idea. You just made my year, my man. You made my year. I love you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man.
Dude, man, so humbled to be sitting here talking with you. Seriously, like, awesome, man. Seriously, thank you.
All right, Victor, just for you to know, I'm wearing shades because I got these bad allergies. My eyes are shut right now. It's just terrible. I'm over here, I'm from Chicago, like my man over here. Woo, Chi-town. And so I'm in Jersey right now, just a little quick vacation over here.
All right. All right.
Sending you love, man. Sending you love.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you.
So today is your second Facebook Live, isn't it?
This will be number 2, man. Yesterday was my first Facebook Live, so I don't know. Did you dig that? No, was that all right?
Watch it. You did great. You did great.
Thank you, man. I was like, I said, okay, I got to keep talking for almost an hour here, so it was good, man. It was good. I wanted more questions, but, it is what it is.
Well, you will get questions today. We have other people that we invited. We got different guys that we have invited to join us just to pick your brain.
Sure.
To pick your brain. And that is awesome. We're going to have a lot of people here sharing. Last week we did a video and hit about 45,000. Just a lot of people talking. And then people will watch this and we will advertise it and we just share it. And we want people to follow you because your knowledge is like unbelievable and everything you're always sharing with us, sharing with people. I was there at the 10X. I said, man, this guy rocks. You guys rocks, man.
Yeah, even when my presentation fell apart, right? Like the thing wasn't working right. I'm like, yeah.
But you improvised. That was good. It wasn't like that for everybody. The slide was not working, and they made it work. They made it work. And you guys just like, you know what? Screw the slide. This is what I for you guys.
If you know your material, you don't need slides. You know what I mean? If you know what you're talking about, you don't need slides.
Right on.
All right. I introduced you about, and I talked about the companies that you have helped. I went into your bio and the 12 books that you have written, maybe more now. I don't know. This is what's on your website. So make sure you got the 12 books. Yesterday you mentioned, actually I was writing some questions for you. I've been watching a lot of your videos and that's the reason I say people need to know about you. People need to know about Victor Antonio because you can change a lot of life. And I just actually, what I'm doing here is just to allow you to talk to people, to allow you to bring whatever product is that you have, that you say, you know what, I have this training, this sales training program that can help people. And I know I watched your video yesterday. You mentioned that about you. But let's start from the beginning. Just give us a quick bio where you start from and what motivates you, what makes you tick. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, let me give the short answer is going to be, if anybody wants to find out about me, there is a documentary online called The Motivator. So if you type in Victor Antonio, The Motivator, it's free on YouTube. And that really tells you my whole story. I had somebody follow me around for 24 hours when I went to an event. And it was nominated for several film festivals, Chevy, Jason, and, it won one International Film Festival award.
Wow.
So it tells the whole story. But here's the story in a nutshell. My family is originally from Puerto Rico, Boricua.
Boricua right? Too, man. Boricua.
Boricua. And so, but I was born and raised in Chicago, and, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so, the food stamps, government cheese, powdered milk, I joke about it. We were raised on the northwest side, where Ashland North Avenue's at, Humboldt Park area, around there. And, there were 7 of us, and, I'm the youngest 7, and my mother was like, somebody's got to go to a 4-year college. And to make a long story short, she basically said, if you don't go to college, you're going to have to go work with your father at the factory. And if I can say this in Spanish, I'm like, "Para carajo con eso." Like, no, I don't want, in other words, heck no, I don't want to do that. And so I decided to get an engineering degree for one reason only, because, Chevy, engineers make a lot of money. So I said,
I make money too, right?
Yeah, and so that was it. So I got into engineering, got my electrical engineering degree. I have an MBA as well. But I got into engineering, and within 3 years, I realized I hate engineering. And it was around that time I had that moment where I started moving around within companies and then moved to a different company. And when I discovered sales, Chevy, that was, for me, that was it. You know what I mean? And that's when my career took off. And so I started out as an account manager, became regional manager, director of sales, moved into a vice president of sales of Latin America for a $3 billion corporation. A company called ADC, was bought out by Tyco. And I grew the region. That was president of sales and marketing, $420 million company, sales and marketing, global sales manager, president. And then I was CEO of a technology company. And back in 2001, I kind of said, you know what, I want to reach back into the neighborhood. I wrote my first book called The Logic of Success, wanted to reach back into the hood, help a few people out, motivate people, show them what a role model looks like, type of thing. And so I do a lot of motivation, but, little by little, my career's come back also to sales training, which is what I do mostly. And my career now is, literally international, man. I mean, the places I've been, the things I've seen, I mean, a kid from the hood, man. I'm in, like 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, I was in Tanzania, Africa. Before that, we did Egypt, Sharm el-Sheikh. We've done Dubai. We've done Abu Dhabi. We've done Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Man, I got places. I mean, I've gone to South America. I've gone to Asia. 2 months from now, I go to Macau. I do Seoul, Korea. I do all these places. And, it's like, I've been very blessed. Dios me bendició, hermano. You know what I mean? And so I feel very grateful. So anyway, I like sales training, and I love helping companies. Whether you're a small business or a large corporation or an entrepreneur, I like teaching people how to sell because, man, unless you can sell, Chevy, do you know what I mean? Nothing moves. It's the one skill that we should all be very good at. And we just kind of treat it like, something as an aside. But I'm telling you right now, whether you're selling a product, service, and you heard this yesterday, or yourself, we got to learn how to sell. That's my short story.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Any of the guys that join us has a question for Victor Antonio? Jeremy, you have a question?
No, I just want to say, how's it going, Victor?
Dude, you're 10X in the hat. I love it. 10X in the hat, man. I love it, man. Shout out to Brent Cardone, man. Dude's an awesome individual, man.
Awesome.
Jeremy, friendly flipper. Woo! What's going on, man?
There you go.
Jason, what's going on, Chevy?
Dude, so Victor, man, what is your number one skill? Like, you've been a salesman forever. What's your number one, man?
I think the ability to present, man. You know, it's a great question, actually. I think you're the first person to actually ask me that question. But I've always like done the soul search. Like, what am I like? What is that skill that gets me over? And it's the ability to present. You know what I mean? Communicate an idea. I can take the most complex, I guess, scenario and simplify it so people go, I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my number one skill. Jason, nobody's ever asked me that question, man. Thank you, brother.
But I
Really? I have a follow-up if I could.
I got a question for you. All right, what your morning looks like when you get up, or what time you get up. We've been talking about this. Usually I get up about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I try to do a lot of things. How your morning looks like? What is Victor?
What does Victor do? I live, you know, it's funny because, you know, this is going to just like go the other way. You know, this is where it's going to get bad. This is where it's going to get really bad because you talk to other people that I get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, man. I go run 5 miles, you know, that I come back, I hit the gym, hit the weights, and boom, start writing down my goals. I don't do any of that. Do you know what I mean? I am the guy that gets up. I typically get up about 6:30. But that's just like natural for me because I can't sleep for a long time. If I get 6 hours of sleep, I'm very happy. And so one of the things I like to do is get my cup of coffee in the morning, man. And I try to read for about, you know, at least 30 minutes is what I try to do. I'm the guy that if I don't read in the morning, I don't read during the day because I don't know, my biorhythms don't work. I can only read in the morning. I can't explain it. And then I do, you know, people always ask, you know, like, what's the key to your success? I think for me, it's not about, I believe in moderation, man. I'm like that Zen Buddhist where I don't run too fast. I don't run too slow. I just moderate everything. I don't go hard over on things. You know what I mean? I live, you know, I don't know how to put this, man, but I live the most Zen life you can possibly imagine. The only time it gets Zen is when I go to the airport and I got to deal with TSA. That's the only time. And that's when I have to call my inner cheat. But, you know, the thing is I plan my life where, you know, I literally, man, I get up, I do some reading. I think I do a lot of self-reflection throughout the day. Do you know what I mean? Yes, I listen to podcasts. I mean, I think, you know, one of the things I do I try to do every day is I walk for a good hour, half hour every morning. You know, after I read, cup of coffee, then I go walk. And within that half hour to an hour, I start thinking about things I want to do, things I want to get done. I'm very task oriented. You know what I mean? And sometimes, you know, I like to tell you that I'm very productive all the time. I'm not. I mean, there's some days I don't get crap done. Do you know what I mean? But I always ask myself, you know, how did I move the ball forward today? If I can use a football analogy, what is the one thing I did today to move the ball forward? And that could be I wrote an article, recorded a video, or I did a Zoom interview with a guy named Chevy. You know what I mean? What do I do to move the ball forward? And so, and I think what happens over time is that you build that momentum. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that's how I do it. And then so if you were to ask me what's the key, and I don't know if I'm rambling here, but I get this question a lot. I said, Victor, you know, why have you been able to kind of like break out of that, the pack so people can notice you? And I use social media a lot. Do you know what I mean? I do a lot of videos. You know, I mean, not as many as Grant Cardone, Jeremy. I mean, Grant, I can't keep up with Grant. I mean, the guy, I don't know what the guy, I don't know what he does, man. It's like he's just wired. I'm not even going to try to keep up with him. I'm trying to keep up with his dust. How's that? I'm going to keep up with his dust because I can't keep up with the guy, right? But I really believe his philosophy. And the guy that really changed my mindset about social media was Gary Vaynerchuk. We all know Gary V, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when Gary V wrote the book Crush It in 2007, 2008, that's when my light bulb went off. I said, I got to do video. I got to do more social media. And, you know, this is going to kill a lot of people when I tell them this. I said, but, you know, I get so many inbound calls because of all the social media activity I have that I haven't done a cold call. I can't tell you the last time I did a cold call. You know what I mean? That's how powerful social media is. I know that's a long answer, but there it is.
That's great. That's great. All right. Somebody else have a question for Victor Antonio?
Yeah, I had a follow-up to the last question. Hey, so you told me your number one thing is presenting. What is your number one weakness? You know, what when you find yourself in those days that nothing's getting done, what is the thing that's slowing you down?
You know, to me, I think it's the hobgoblins in the mind. You know how sometimes you psych yourself out? You know, you psych yourself out. Either you compare yourself to somebody else, or you start going down what I call that mental rabbit hole of going, okay, this is not going right. That's not going right. That's not going right. And what I've gotten better at over the years, Jason, is really stopping myself from going down the rabbit hole. You know what I mean? Reminding myself, hey, you know what? It ain't that bad. Look at the upside. And I try to do that to myself a lot. I still think that is a weakness of mine that too often I start looking at, I think it's a tendency, it's the brain's tendency to emphasize the negative, right? And minimize or dampen the positive. And it's that constant fight. Like, it's almost like, where was I the other day? I was traveling back. I swear to you, sometimes I think God just puts things in my way to remind me. I'm on a plane. I forgot where I'm at. And I'm going down the rabbit hole. I said, God, I didn't get this done. I didn't get this done. This is not going right. I could do better on this. I get off the plane and I see a boy. He's like 13 years old, handicapped. And you can tell he's got serious problems, right? In a wheelchair. And it's those moments that you go, shut up. Stop whining about your life. You got it good. Be grateful. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we all do that. You know what I mean? I think I like I said, that's my weakness. Too often I try to seek for a rabbit hole and I got to pull myself back. I think we all do that.
Yeah. I think like for me, it's overthinking things.
Yeah.
Something happens and I like make a way bigger thing out of it, which is weird because in sales, and that's my thing. I'm a salesperson, and like in sales, you can't let the objection become this big thing. And I do it every day and I'm fine with it. But when I like other stuff, I gotta like do that same thing and like wrangle myself back into the non-negative. So I love that answer. Thank you.
Yeah. I think what's interesting about that, Jason, is that we have, again, it's part of the brain. Everybody has it. We have this imagined fear. And I'll give you an example. Have you ever and work with me on this example. Have you ever called somebody up, right? And you left a voicemail. A day or two goes by, they don't call you back, right?
Yeah.
It goes by, I'm like, what a jerk. Jason's a real jerk for not calling me back. By the 4th or 5th day, you know what? I'm tired of that guy. By the 7th or 10th day, you're like, I don't even care if I hear back from this dude. Screw him. I don't like him, right?
Right.
Then 2 weeks later, ring, ring. It's Jason. He says, Victor, I apologize for not getting back to you. My mother passed away. And for the last 2 weeks, I haven't been able to talk to anybody. Now, what's fascinating about that example is that in your mind, you played this movie that Jason was being a jerk, right?
Right.
The reality was, he was preoccupied with a death in the family. And we do that with customers as well. And the customer doesn't return our phone call. We knock ourselves out. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes we make. And I think that's what you're probably alluding to.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the scenario, for sure. Yeah. Mr. Bob, Super Bob.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry for being late, guys. Hello, sir. How nice to meet you.
Same here. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Sorry about that.
All right, I got a question for you, Victor.
Okay, I love this panel, man. It's like question after question. Give me your best one, man. Pull them out. I mean, don't hold back. I'm the guy.
I'd like to sit in queue. I've got a question next after Chevy.
All right, good.
She's chiming in.
That's a beautiful Janine. All right, a question for you. How you compare the customer now to the customer about 20 years ago?
I think, and I mentioned this during the 10X event, which, again, if you didn't go to a 10X, the 10X event was awesome, I thought. It was just
incredible. It was great.
I don't know if I said this, but I'll repeat it now if I didn't. I think sales will always be known now as pre-internet and post-internet. Pre-internet, we didn't have a lot of information. There was no internet. Everything was scarce in terms of getting information, which means that you would spend time with the salesperson because you wanted to gain knowledge. It's like I always use the car example, right? You go onto the car lot before the internet. If your car broke down, you had to get a new car, what did you do? You asked a couple of friends, you looked around, social proof, what's available. Then you went to the dealer and you spent 2-3 hours talking to the guy, the salesperson, right? You were patient. You needed information before making a final decision. Today, post-internet, we're now in the internet era, your car breaks down. And so what do? Well, according to Google, you'll look at 10 sources of information before deciding to reach out to a company. In other words, when you walk onto that dealer lot, you're like, some studies put it at 57%, some people put it at 70%. You're 57 to 70% into the buying cycle, which means you already know what you want. You've looked at the car, whether it's new or used, what the model is, what the year is, you know what the invoice price is. So when you go onto the lot, you're not looking for a relationship now, you're looking for a transaction. And so the best salespeople today are those that can go beyond the brochure. So if somebody comes onto the lot, I already know they're 57 to 70% into the buying cycle. They know a lot. And because they know so much, the only way that I can really position myself as an expert is to know more than they do and to tell them things they don't know. And I always use this phrase. Here's the key word, one word, insight. Insight, man. And I define insight as information beyond the obvious. If you can deliver today, during a conversation, information beyond the obvious, something that the customer goes, I didn't know that. Wow, never looked at it that way. Didn't even think about that. That is what's changed in selling. You have an informed buyer, and you as a salesperson have to be more informed than they if you want to be taken seriously. That's what I think the biggest change is.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely. You made a great point there. I like that phrase. It's true, especially in the automotive industry, which I was a part of for a while. Salespeople are nothing but a walking brochure. You're absolutely right. You gotta be more than that. I like that phrase.
That's a phenomenal phrase. I do too.
Don't be a walking brochure. Don't tell me what I can look at up on your website. Don't tell me what I can read in your brochure. Tell me something more.
Yeah. I know that's exactly. I remember years ago I went to buy my car, right? I decided to go with a Volvo. Don't judge me. Right? So I had to buy a Volvo, right?
Sorry.
It's the safest car in the world.
That's what I'm talking about. My brother understands. He understands. He gets it. And so I remember I went to like Miami or something, and the guy was like, well, here it is. This is what you were looking for. And that was a sales pitch. He goes, take a drive. And I go, well, sure. I said, well, tell me about the car. I said, well, and he almost said something like this. I'm joking now. But he said, like, it's got 4 wheels. It drives well. I want to drive it. And I go, and so I remember I walked off the lot. I didn't buy it. And then I went up to like the Fort Lauderdale. Like 2 weeks later, I went to Fort Lauderdale. And this guy was just one of the best salespersons. This is what he did. He says, tell me why. I mean, he was like interrogating me like the FBI. Well, why do you want to buy a Volvo? Why that car? Why specifically and I'm like, I almost felt offended, but I was like, okay, well, I'll go with this guy. And then we get to the car. He walks me to the car. And before he even lets me touch it, like literally touch the car, he starts walking me around the car and telling me about the construction of the car, the cage, the ribs inside, the crushed cage in case you get hit from the side. He goes through this for like 20, 30 minutes. And I'm like, dude, okay, I'm sold. Can I drive the car? And I walked out there buying the car from him because he told me things I didn't know. Again, insight, information beyond the obvious.
I like that.
Yep.
All right, Jenny, your question.
Hi, Victor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for taking the time on a Friday. Awesome.
I feel like I'm on a date with you. It's Friday night.
All right. Here, let's hold hand virtually. Here. Uh-oh. That's it. It's personal now. Talk to me.
So at 10X, you said that confusion was chaos.
Yeah.
And clarity was confidence. And I think that concept completely understand. How would you say that if you are in that moment of feeling confused, so you're causing chaos, how do you pull yourself into clarity? Because that's not always as easy as just saying, okay, I want to, have clarity. How do you pull yourself out of confidence into clarity?
Give me just a little more. Like, give me a context of what you mean. Is it a sales situation? Is it a personal situation where you're thinking about, something? I mean, give me some context.
Sure. So let's say it's you're making a decision. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a big decision in your life, and it's something that's hard, and you have a lot of confusion around that decision because there's a lot of different opinions and emotions.
Right.
And you want to have clarity on what the right way is to go so that you can have confidence that you're going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But instead you have a lot of confusion.
Yeah, I think you just described everybody on the planet. You know? Everybody, right? And I remember, I think it was Walt Disney that came up with this, that had this phrase, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I'm going to screw it up. He says, you know, when values are clear, decisions are easy. When your values are clear, decisions are very easy. And I think sometimes our confusion comes from our cowardice. In other words, you know, standing up for something, you got to get that?
She's walking in herself.
Okay, great. Good. Thank you for disturbing my stream of thought.
Making stop. Sorry.
No, that's a joke. I'm kidding. So, do you know what I mean?
What's your name?
That was funny. Now, that was funny. But you know, it's sometimes I think we know what we need to do, but it's almost like we're just afraid to make that decision. You know, I think because deep down inside, if you were, as I always say, if you were to quiet the machinery, by quiet the machinery, I mean, sit in a room quietly by yourself, you know, just calm your brain down and just say, if I don't care what other people think and it's all about me, you know, what would I do? You know what I mean? I think sometimes we have to quiet the machinery, and I think sometimes we don't. And I'll give you an example. And again, this is in the movie The Motivator, and maybe this will help you kind of understand, and maybe we can see if I'm answering your question. So I was president of sales and marketing. It was $420 million company, and I really wanted to write books and speak. $420 million company, president of sales and marketing. 110,000 shares of stock, $250,000 base salary, commission stacked on top of that, a lot of this. You know what I mean? And on May 9th, 2001, 3:48 p.m. to be exact, I made the call and I quit. You know, and I remember, you know, that first day was pure euphoria. I've broken out of the machinery, you know, working for a large corporation. I no longer wanted to be a cog anymore. You know what I mean? And it's because I was feeling this quiet discontent. You know what I mean by quiet discontent? That little feeling inside your stomach says, you know, I'm not feeling this, but I'm still doing it. And so the first day, and this is in the movie, I'm like, yes, screw the system, right? And then the next day, the first feeling that comes over me is pure horror. Just like pure horror comes over me the next day. Like, what did I just do? Now, when I started in the speaking business, write these numbers down because I think you'll find them interesting. Remember, I said I was making $250 a year plus stack on top of that, I don't know, $200,000-$300,000 on top of that for commissions, 110,000 shares of stock. Quit that. My first year of speaking, I made $17,000. I made $17,000, and inside there was like this sick feeling, like this panic. And that's when I really learned that I needed to learn how to sell and market myself. Now, here's the interesting part. If you really want some good insight, here's some insight. Here I am, president of sales and marketing. I came up the sales ladder. But I was always working within a corporation. And because I was always working within a corporation, I just focused on sales. I never had to learn how to be marketing. I never had to learn finances or running my own business. And now I was my own person and I had to learn all this stuff. And marketing became the key. And so this is a long way of giving you the answer that for me, it took about 2 to 3 years when I knew I wasn't on purpose, right? To finally have the courage to kind of say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. And it wasn't like they were treating me bad or anything. They weren't. It's just that I just felt like life was passing me by and I just wasn't doing all the things I wanted to do. And ever since I left in 2001, for the last 16 years, I mean, you couldn't script my story. You know, I got a TV show, Life or Death, right, on Spike TV. I get a whole season. I mean, never thought that would happen. You know, got books, you know, traveled the world. I mean, things that would never have happened if I had not made that decision. But making that decision and having to start all over again was one of the toughest things to do. And sometimes I think it's not so much that you don't have clarity. You just don't have the confidence to do it and the confidence in yourself to say, you know what, let's do this. Because if right now you knew you were Superwoman, right? You could do whatever you want, right? Bam, right? But you like that, right? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You would be like, if you had that superpower and you said I can do whatever I want, would you still be doing what you're doing now?
You know, it's very interesting that you say that because just this week, my wife, after 30 years in her same job, working for the same company, was finally laid off. Now, we've been waiting for that other shoe to drop for the last 3 to 4 years. Her company, it's a newspaper company. And we, as we all know, newspapers are in decline. And I don't know how she put up with it. You know, I would go crazy personally, but watching other departments lay people off, trickling. Other cities laying people off, other sections of the paper laying people off, other entities of the corporation laying people off. And I'm like, how can you just do that? Just go. And, she really had no reason to even work because thank God I've built businesses, I've done things, and we've been able to self-sustain. So she really didn't have to work. But the fact of the matter is she's one of those classic through conditioning or what have you, fear-based decision. I hate my job. I get up every day. I see my fat, lazy husband stay in bed while I'm getting dressed to go to work. But yet I refuse to quit my job. I don't need to really go to this job. But just the entrainment of I need this job. I'm not going to quit our job. What if all your marketing stuff goes wrong? What if something goes wrong? My job is the backup. I'm like, I make what you make in 2 weeks in 1 hour.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's amazing.
And but the funny thing is, just picking up where you left off, it's so many people in society suffer from the same thing. I've talked about that with so many people that it's really an irrational decision sometimes to stay and not take the leap.
Yeah, I think it's conditioning. I mean, if you look at the history of America, right, it's very fascinating. At one time we were an agrarian society, right? We were farmers, right? And then the Industrial Revolution kicks in, right? So what happens? We go to the city to find jobs. And then they build these schools, right? Because we can't have kids working in factories. So where do we put the kids? Because we need the people to work at these factories because we're about all manufacturing. So we create a school system. Well, what is the school system created for? To really educate you? I mean, to some extent, yes. But it's
to make you average.
It's conforming.
Preparing
right?
for a job.
They're conditioning till you get a job. And it's conformity. Think about it. Your desks are lined up. You wait for the bell to ring, right? Almost like a Pavlovian dog, ding, salivate. You know what I mean? We're like conditioned. And so I don't blame people. I just, the thing is, I'm telling you, the Matrix movie had it right. It's like you got to wake up. Your energy, your power, your source of energy is being sucked up by other people. And it's only a few people that actually wake up from the Matrix and unplug and then go, I see it. And then you start seeing it. And you're like, why didn't I do this earlier?
So what finally, Victor, woke you up? Because it sounds like at one point you had an awakening. What caused that?
I'm almost embarrassed to actually share. But I'm going to do this anyway. What the hell? Here we go. So
just ask. Go ahead.
I feel like this is pure catharsis at this point. Let me just get it out of the way. But so this is going to sound like I'm joking, but I'm not joking. Okay. When I hit 36, something hit me in my head because I left the company when I was 37. When I got to 36, I had a midlife crisis at 36. Here's why. I said, wow, 36, that's 2 times 18. I said, the first 18 years, you have all these wonderful experiences, right? You're growing up, you have your best friend, you get your first kiss, you have your girlfriend, you go to high school, you go to prom. You got 18 years. When I hit 36, I realized I lived another 18. And it just wasn't as good as the first 18.
Wow.
And that was like my midlife crisis. I'm like, do I want the next 18 to be like the last 18? You know what I mean? And it just kept coming back like an echo in the dark. No, we don't want that. And it took about another year for me to finally get the courage, the confidence to say, I quit. I had the clarity. It was just fear. It's like we all have to get to that point of, past that fear. But for me, that was it. You know what I mean? That was it.
That's big. I got 6 more years before I'm at that point. So
yeah, thank you for making me feel old. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm gonna keep pounding the sales thing. I mean, I'm talking to a world-class salesperson. I got 2 sales questions. So what do you think the biggest break point for salespeople is where they lose the deal?
Where they lose the deal?
Yeah.
That's a complicated question. So let's answer it from let's go from B2C or B2B. I think if it's B2C, I think a lot of it has to do with confidence, right? And the ability to ask for the order. Because in a B2C order, scenario, it's one-to-one. People need to know that they trust you, they like you, that whole bit. But they also know you got to be informed, right? So I still come back to knowledge, right? In a B2B scenario, because you have a longer sales cycle, there's so many things that could go wrong. But I think the biggest advantage is those that can nurture a relationship over 3 months. Those are the people that can actually sell more effectively.
Okay. Cool.
Did I get that? Did I answer your question? Because it's a very complicated question because it's not just one thing.
Right. Well, I know that anybody you ask that's managed or trained salespeople knows the reason they don't close is because they're not asking enough times.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But the point is, I guess I'm trying to figure out, what is it that causes a great salesperson not to ask for the order 12 times like you did the last 6 times?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So here's the deal. And different sales gurus will differ on this opinions, but I'm going to go with studies, right?
Right.
And there's a gentleman by the name of Neil Rackham, runs a company called Huthway. Neil Rackham is, to me, the gold standard of sales research, right? And Neil Rackham wrote a book called Spin Selling, right? Spin Selling. And he came out of the Xerox era, and he was the one that actually did the first study on whether pressuring a person to buy actually works, right? And so Rackham, in his study, and again, pick up the book Spin Selling. It's about, it was written in 1987, but still the data is solid. And then I'm going to update you on new data. But Rackham figured out something very simple. He said, when the price point is low, in other words, if you want to sell me something that's not expensive, in that scenario, pressuring somebody to buy by asking for the order over and over again actually is very effective. But when the order is big, like more than you're comfortable with, a lot of money, pressuring somebody to buy actually reduces your close rate. Now, this is fascinating because you think about let's say you're selling cars, right? You've seen this happen. There's people that walk on the lot and they'll look at a car, says $40,000, $50,000. Wow, whatever. And they'll go, that one. And they'll let you pressure them because to them, that's not a big price point.
Right.
But when it's a big price point to somebody else, again, it tends to work against you. And I think your close rate drops by 20% when you pressure somebody in a high price sales scenario. Now, all that said, you got to ask for the order. And so studies have shown that people are just afraid to ask for the order. Now,
Victor, what's your favorite way to ask for the order? What's your favorite question?
My favorite way. Is there any reason we shouldn't get started? Can you tell me any reason why we shouldn't get started? That's the basic one. What would you suggest is the next step? And again, look, they know you're there to sell them. I guess I make it very clear that I'm there to sell.
Right.
So it's not like I keep it like I'm hiding it to the last minute and says, haha, I'm selling to you, right? And so when the client says, it's one of those, have you seen enough to make a decision? Is there any reason we shouldn't start processing this right away and let's just get going? Standard answers, right?
You can almost say anything you want to ask for the order. right? But
I think, you know, I'm going to go back to what I said yesterday. Chevy's going to know this line because I go back to what Bruce Lee says that, you know, the person that, you know, I'm not afraid of the guy that practices 10,000 kicks one time. I'm afraid of the guy that practices one kick 10,000 times.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because once you figure out, remember, and I said this yesterday, he came up with his style, Jeet Kune Do, because all the other styles didn't fit him. So he came up with his own style. It's no different in selling.
Right.
I can give you, look, I'll break out Tom Hopkins' book right now. I'll break out Grant Cardone's book, anybody else's book. In there, they got about, I don't know, 50 to 100 closes. The key is, you know, it's not so much the close, it's the glide path that you take.
Yeah. And it's the confidence with saying it. You know, I had an epiphany the other day too. That you just reminded me of. One of my best sales guys was at a we sell roofing and siding. So this guy's at a home, and the guy's like, you know, they're giving him the whole I don't want a big sales pitch kind of thing. And I just had a guy from this other company. He was a slimy salesman, and my guy's reply was, well, I'm a salesman, but I'm not slimy. I am going to ask for your business. He got the deal.
The first part, but yeah, of course you can ask for the business.
Yeah, and he got the deal, and the guy said it was because you were honest with me. I didn't mind the pressure, but you were honest. You told me up front you were going to ask, you know, that you were there to earn the business, and I just knowing that reminded me that, you know, customers got to know what you're there to do, or they're going to be surprised when you lay a price down and go, hey, let's do this, and they're like, wait, wasn't this an estimate? You know?
What's interesting, one of the things I teach in my workshop, which is very different, is that I introduce price early into this, in the actual presentation cycle. And because let's pretend for a moment that, you know, for example, I've trained roofing companies, right? And when I train roofing companies, from the moment they hit the door to the moment they walk in the door, you know, or, you know, walk the customer around the property, right, to see where the issues are, to coming back with the estimate, having the conversation at the kitchen table, I say begin to introduce price early. And this could be after your first walk around. You can say something like this, look, because all the customers thinking as you're telling them all about your company, your products, all they're thinking about is how much. And then they say, well, how much is it going to cost? You say, well, let me just kind of calculate some more thing. But I'll get to you right in a little bit. And you keep going. And they're like, how much? In their mind, all they're screaming is how much. Now, and all of a sudden, you finally get to the pricing 45 minutes into this walk around, right?
Right.
And then you just shock them with the price. And now you expect them to make a decision. But the price is so high, more than they expected to pay, that they're stunned by it. Here's what I teach people. Somewhere in that 40-minute, maybe somewhere at the 20-minute mark, after an initial review, you say something like this. I said, Mr. Customer, one of the things I know that you're thinking right now is how much is it going to cost me? I don't have firm numbers. I said, but based on the small things that I've seen already, when I've worked on houses like this, you're somewhere between, I'll say 10,000 and 25,000.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know my numbers already, right? I know my numbers. I know he's going to land because he's thinking, I hope he's closer to 10 than 25.
Right.
Now,
but he's expecting 25.
Yeah. So now you've given him a range. And here's what you've done psychologically. There's a part of the brain back here, the amygdala. It is your survival brain. You know that fight, flight, or freeze, right?
Yeah.
That, what you're doing is when you're giving him a number, is that you're calming that part of the brain down. And when you calm that part of the brain down, they can be more reasonable to talk to. But if they're constantly thinking, how much, you're just freaking them out when you finally drop the price at the end.
Yeah, we have something similar in our pitch. It's actually in the first 5 or 10 minutes of talking. You know, hey, look, you know, you could go anywhere from here to here on a house this size. It's going to depend on what you pick, but you're going to be somewhere in there, and it drops the middle number somewhere where we're going to be. Pretty close. And
it's a simple phrase. It's called framing, right? Once you frame the price, the customer calms down, and again, they're hoping that you're towards the lower end. And I'm glad you brought this up, that you use it at 5 or 10 minutes, because I always tell people you have to determine where you're going to place that. but don't wait till you're 40 minutes into the conversation to do so. Great point. Great question.
All right, time out, guys. All right, listen, for everybody who's watching this on Facebook, please share it with your friends. Victor Antonio is bringing a lot of good insights here. If you just caught up with this video, just watch it from the beginning. And one more thing, Victor Antonio did his first Facebook Live yesterday.
Congratulations.
Follow him.
Follow him.
Woo!
Victor Antonio, tell us a little bit. I watched your video last night, and you were talking about a new product that you have, a program that you have. Can you tell us about that a little bit, please?
Well, there's two things you can do. If you want my courses, I have a website called seminarsonselling.com where you can download my library. And in there, I mean, it's a great library. What can I say? It's a great sales library. It's oriented towards B2C, but I would say it's more leaning towards B2B. There's a lot of B2B stuff in there, but there's a lot of stuff on the psychology of buying, why people buy, how to create presentations, how to reduce buyer resistance, and a lot of good stuff. I mean, it's a great program. The other thing I want to announce is that, next month, July 21st through the 23rd, I'm joining Grant Cardone for a 3-day sales boot camp. So if you go to grantcardonebootcamp.com, we're going to be hanging out again, GC and the VA. You know what I mean? We're going to be hanging out. So it'll be cool to do that. So, please take a look at that again. grantcardonebootcamp.com is going to be great. And then my website, seminarsonselling.com. Again, I think it's great material. It really goes in depth. I like to be very practical and not too theoretical. But one of the things I think my programs have is I like to explain the psychology of why things work, of why people do the things they do, right? And in these programs, I show you little things that if I teach you a strategy, you may forget it. But if I teach you why the strategy works, you can apply it to different things. And I think that's real knowledge. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's real knowledge. If I tell you to memorize an equation, you may be able to memorize it, but after a couple of years, you're done. But if I show you how to arrive at the equation naturally, you will always be able to derive that equation. If you understand how people think, you get it, man. I'm telling you, the common thing, no matter where I travel in the world, Chevy, everybody has a brain, and the brain is the same. You can wrap a little culture around it. I don't care. But at the end of the day, people are motivated more by pain than they are gain. It's never about price. It's about risk mitigation.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, it's always the same.
One more time, the website. Where's the website for all those people who are viewing?
Seminarsonselling.com. Seminarsonselling.com. I have about 23 training programs. They're heavy, man. They're like, not for sissies. Do you know what I mean? There's no candy stuff in there. There's no real, I'm not going to say, look, okay, here's an open-ended question. Here's a closed-ended question. No, I don't talk about that. I don't have time for that. I'm not going to talk about, here's how you stand, here's how you look. We don't do any of that. In those workshops, you're going to learn how to actually sell, whether it's prospecting, whether it's presenting. Let me highlight one program. It's called Blocking Objections. In that series, check out Blocking Objections. That program, not the program, the sales program, the philosophy in Blocking Objections has made me so much money. Listen to me. If you wake me out of a dead sleep and say, which program has made you the most money? For you personally, me personally, Blocking Objections. You learn how to block objections. See, and by the way, so let's go back to let's answer this question. In Blocking Objections, I explain why overcoming objections is old school.
Yeah.
Blocking objections is new school.
Right.
And in there, I explain the psychology behind it. And you can't argue against psychology and studies. But I explain why blocking objections is always more powerful than overcoming objections.
Great.
Why do you think that is? I think I have the answer that I've thought, but I'd like to hear yours. Why is overcoming objections harmful to the sale?
Okay, so here's the psychology behind it, okay? And so I'll give you as they call the thumbnail psychology behind it. There's something called the rule of consistency and something called cognitive dissonance. all this stuff's like garbage crap, right? But what it means is that studies have shown that if I take a position, right, I will stick to that position, right?
Yeah.
For example, if I say I'm a Democrat, I will look for information to validate why I'm a Democrat. If I say I'm a Republican, I will look for that selective information, right? Now, let me give you one more example, and then I'll give you the final ta-da of why it works. Blocking objection is better. Have you ever been in a presentation, one to a group, or one to two people, a couple, right? But let's say one to a group, and you had that presentation. You know what I call that magical presentation? The unicorn presentation. You know what I'm talking about? That everything pure flow, man. You know what I mean? You're like doing no wrong in this presentation. You're like high-fiving yourself mentally because it's so good. You know what?
You're in the zone.
Oh, you're in the zone. And you're like, hey, that's Mia. This is mine. You know what I mean? I'm gonna nail this one. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, a guy in the background, let's say his name is Jason, goes, yeah, but you're too expensive. Now, all of a sudden, you say, well, that really, that really depends on, what you're comparing it to, apples to apples. Now you're defending that position, right? But don't forget the psychology of what just happened. Because Jason yelled, that's too expensive, Jason is now taking a position. And the only way for me to unseat him of that position is now I have to come over the top with heavier information to try to dissuade him. In other words, he is taking a position saying that's too expensive. But something worse happened in that room. Something worse happened. Everybody was doing this. They were like pigeons, nodding, like, wow, this is a great presentation. As soon as Jason said that, he took a position in the negative. What did he do to the rest of the room?
Took him there.
He took him there. Now everybody's thinking,
validate that, like you said.
Yeah. Well, maybe it is more expensive. Maybe we should wait. Maybe we should hold off. Maybe we need to think about it. Maybe we need to have another meeting. Boom,
one apple spoils the bunch.
That's it. You're done. But the psychology behind it is that because Jason took a position, he basically poison pilled the rest of the room for me. Now, if I know that...
That's why, like Trump, you have security, get those people out of the room that do that.
Okay, let's not go political here. So anyway, so what happens is when you're presenting, you know that price is an objection in the room. You know it. I know it, right? And because we know this, I don't want to wait for somebody to raise it.
Right.
I raise it. I always say, look, many people tell me that we're more expensive. And the answer is yes, but that really depends on what you're buying. And then I walk through this series of what you need to do to block and tie down that objection. Right. And now imagine that imagine for a moment, and here's the secret sauce. Imagine for a moment that you know the 3 to 5 typical objections you typically get. We all do, right?
Right, which is every sale, right?
Yeah, 3 to 5 typical objections. Now, what if strategically throughout the presentation, I block them before they bring them up?
Right, right.
Here's what you will feel. You will feel that resistance go down. Because what they'll say is, well, I'm glad he brought it up. Well, I'm glad he addressed it. What does that do for me? It positions me as, well, he's very honest. He's raising the tough issues. Now, let's take the other example. Let's take the other extreme. You don't bring up price because you're afraid to bring up price. So, and then the meeting ends and you go, phew, they didn't bring up price. And you're all happy, like, oh my God, we got past that. They didn't bring up the issue. Here's the problem. As soon as you leave, guess what? They're going to say, you know what? I really like that guy, Victor, bald guy, but I kind of like him. He's a cool guy. Answered a lot of questions, but you know what? We never talked about price. Yeah, we should have brought that up. And then, you know what? Let's table this for another month or something because, you know what I mean? So you're not there to block the objection. So you want to block objections. And I think that's powerful to do. And so that's a big way selling has changed, I think.
Okay. Awesome.
Great.
Is Jeremy on here? I know he wanted a question.
Yo. Hey, yeah, actually, I have a question from the audience, actually from a Victor who's watching. This is Victor in Elite Closers, the gorilla. Okay, so I think this question, a lot of people.
Hey, Victor.
Yes.
They want into sales, and so this may be basic, but a lot of people, I think, struggle with this, so we'd love to hear your take on it. So
Okay.
Victor says, I'm a little bitch on cold calls. What can help my bitchness go away? Ha ha ha.
No, but the thing is, I think we're all like that because and by the way, to Vic, I'll just call you Vic. That first of all, join the club, right? Join the club. Nobody likes to pick up. It's unnatural to pick up the phone. And we were raised. Listen to this. I mean, go back to preconditioning. What were you taught as a kid? Don't interrupt while adults are talking. When adults are talking, don't interrupt. Okay, wait for your turn to talk. And so, we have it in our minds that when we're calling, we're interrupting somebody's day. And here's the reality: we are, but we're interrupting it with great intent. So here's what I would say to Vic. Vic, do you really believe that your product or service can help that company or that individual? Do you really believe that your product or service can help them make more money, can help them reduce their costs, expand their market share, all these things that are benefits? Do you really believe that? Because if you don't, then that's why you don't pick up the phone call. That's why it's having a hard time. Because, let me go legal on you. It is your fiduciary duty as a salesperson to share something of value that you know is going to help a company or an individual. See, it's your mindset that's wrong. I get the fact that you're afraid, but maybe you're afraid because you don't really believe that what you're selling can actually help them. Because if I know I can help you, dude, I'm calling you up and I'm saying, Jason, you need to listen to me. I got this thing for you. I am telling you, I'm going to help you close more deals. You need to listen to me. And so that's how, and by the way, the question I would ask Vic, is he a product of the product? Is he a product of the product? In other words, does he drink his own Kool-Aid? Does he use the products that he sells? If you're selling, let's say, pills, potions, or powders, to help you lose weight, whatever it is, are you using it? If you're not using it, then you're not a product of the product. And if you're not a product of the product, you can't sell it. You have to be a product of the product. What's that?
Makes it a heck of a lot harder. Victor says, tell him much love from a Puerto Rican to another, and thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing this out. It's much appreciated. We have Victor Antonio in the house dropping gold nuggets.
In the PowerHouse.
Crazy. Woo! Yeah.
That's hilarious.
ETE, I haven't heard a question from you. I would like to hear a question from ETE. Come on, man. ETE, you got a question?
Oh man, do I have a question? Yes. Now I want to go back. By the way, hello, Antonio. Man, it's definitely a pleasure to have you here, Victor. It's definitely a pleasure. So I do have a question, and my question is this for everybody out there. Earlier you mentioned you were working, at a sales, making, a big salary, and then you had that breakthrough, and you did touch on it right now. But if you can go just a little further, because you have people that, man, they want to get out, they want to break that breakthrough, but they're scared. They have so much fear, because of the things they've gone through in life as they grew up as a child, the way they were redesigned as a kid. How would you tell that individual, that person, and all those people that are listening right now, if they really want to go after something because they feel it, how can they break through?
So I'm going to give you again. I'm going to go against the grain, right? I'm so anti-guru right now. I'm going to go anti-guru again because, everybody says, you know what? You just have to make that decision. You got to go for it. You just got to do it. And I'm going, wait a minute. Whoa. I'm like, whoa. I got bills to pay. I got kids. I got a mortgage. And you're telling me just go for it? Are you insane? Are you an idiot? That's what I would tell people, by the way. I'm just saying, that's just me. Let's take a reasoned approach to this, which is what I did. See, the thing is, here's the part I left out, is that before that 36, point where I was like, I really need to change, before that, I already had an idea of what I wanted to do, and that was speaking. So a few years before that, I joined Toastmasters. I don't know if you know what Toastmasters is.
I just signed up to start.
I just joined Toastmasters myself.
The best investment you could ever make. right? And so when I joined Toastmasters, I said, well, let's see if I can speak. Let's see if I'm good. I can't tell you, listen to me, I can't tell you how many people I've met that come up to me and say, Victor, I want to be a speaker just like you. I have this dream. God is giving me this message. I mean, I don't know. God seems to be talking to everybody with a lot of messages. You know what I mean? And I get that. And I'm going to go to hell for that. I got that. But here's the problem. Everybody has a message. Everybody on this conference call has a message to the world. We all do. But that doesn't mean you got to quit your job. And, you see all these programs where you can become $1 million speaker in 1 year. That's crap. Anybody who knows this business knows that's not possible. A lot of these people don't tell you how they made their millions. You know how they're making their millions? Listen to me, man. You want some real data here? You know how most of these gurus are making their millions? They're selling you the blueprint on making the millions.
They're selling stuff.
No. By the way, who made the most money during the gold rush?
The guys that sold the shovels and the tools.
That's right. The guys who sold the pickaxes and the shovels. They weren't out there digging the holes. They're like, here, I'll give you the tools. Now go do it. And that's how a lot of them are making the money. Not all of them, but the majority are talking out of their neck because they're not doing it. I've been in the game long enough. I get it, man. You can't lie to me on this. And so to answer the question about if you want to follow your dream, one of the things you have to do is to begin to do it slowly. Like, by the way, some people, am I getting feedback?
Getting feedback, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's got their volume up.
Yeah. So here's what I want to say. There's two types of people. There's people who, are risk averse, and there's risk takers. If you're a risk taker and you can afford to take risks, take the risk. I'm going to high five you for going for it. But I believe that the majority of people are risk averse. What does that mean? They want to do it. They're just afraid to do it. And so I belong to the baby step club. You know what I mean? I just do little things every day. So I started speaking at Toastmasters. And after my first 10 speeches, I started realizing I was getting pretty good. So I started competing and I started winning some of these competitions. And I go, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I'm pretty good. But then being good is one thing. Having a message is another. And then I said, well, maybe I should try writing a little bit. And so I started writing articles. And then something finally happened that pushed me over like, okay, I can do this. I know I can do this. And so if you're out there and let's say you're working at a factory and you want to design clothes, right? And you want to make money with your own designer line, right? Then what I would say to you is, let's do this on the part-time. You know what I mean? Let's do it on the side. Let's build that website. Say you can build a website for pennies on the dollar. You can build a website. You can build your e-commerce site. Let's put up some merchandise. Let's see if it can sell. And then I always tell people at the end of the day, you got to learn how to sell. And then let's see if that takes off. See, too often we hear the millionaire stories. You know what I mean? How many of you have read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers?
I did. Love it.
So Outliers, I'm telling you, if you want to understand success, screw the other books, read Outliers. Okay? Just dump the other books. Because Malcolm Gladwell basically says it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at anything. That was the easy throwaway. But here's what was interesting, that a lot of these people who were successful, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, the Beatles, he explains that there was an outlier effect. Listen to this phrase. There was an outlier effect that propelled them to success. In other words, there was a set of conditions. Something happened, a set of conditions that is not repeatable or duplicatable that happened that allowed them to be successful. I'll give you a perfect example. Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey entered the market early, right? By the way, she was good. Of course she's great. And then she built her network, right? And she became great. Anybody who followed her tried to repeat the formula, and it really didn't work. Even Oprah, when she started the second network, her own network, OWN, under Harpo Productions, she struggled sometimes because she's having a hard time duplicating. Because what a lot of these successful people don't tell you is there was an outlier effect. There was a set of circumstances, a situation, a condition, an incident that happened that propelled them. Now, Is there something we can learn from that? Of course. There's a lot of things we can learn. How they did it, who they were, everything about the business model we can learn. But always keep in mind that you only hear about the 1 or 2% of successes. You never hear about the 98% that never made it. You know, and don't believe me. Look at the Small Business Administration. What is it? 87% of all small businesses fail within 3 years. So the failure rate is very high, but nobody wants to talk about the failure because that doesn't sell. It's like good news doesn't sell, bad news does, right? It's almost opposite for motivational speaking, right? And the industry. Good news sells, bad news doesn't. It's very inverted. And so, you know, I don't know if I'm answering the question, but for people who are afraid, I'm just saying dip your toe in the water slowly. Begin to do things to move you in that direction. Mitigate your risk by investing softly. If you really love it, you'll keep investing more and more time till one day you say, you know what, I think we got some rhythm here. I think we can do this. And then boom, it happens. That's how I think success really happens.
And I also think I just want to add to that a little bit that, you know, as opposed to many years ago, I mean, I'm an old guy. I'm 50 years old. So, you know, I've seen the whole cycle of change throughout the years. But as opposed to before, you know, that it was an either or decision. Today with technology and all this stuff, having side gigs is the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about it. Back in the day, to build a website, it was $5,000 to $10,000. Today, you get one for free. You know, e-commerce, PayPal. Don't even need a merchant account, right? I mean, you don't even have to have your own product. You can white label the thing. You go to one of these websites like Zazzle. They'll create the shirt. They'll ship the shirt. And all you do is put your cute logo on it. I mean, there's so many ways to make money. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I think people don't get. And to your point, technology has enabled us to do so many things. But yet, doesn't it seem like our brains are lagging on that? Because the school system, if I can be so blunt, sucks. Our school system is horrible. They don't teach you about finances. They don't teach you about sales. They don't really teach you about marketing. They don't. You're programmed to get a job, not to start a business when you go to school.
Well, I totally agree. I mean, I'll give you 3 examples. I own 3 businesses. They're all different. However, they're all tied in with the same principle. Mm-hmm. Career marketing company, business consulting company, and a marketing company. You know, we do printing and we print advertising books. They're all basically the same principle, marketing. Which brings me to the question I want to ask you, because I did see something on your website, and I just want to ask you your take on that. Yeah. Because, you know, for years, again, you know, we've always known selling and marketing are 2 separate disciplines. Yeah. However, my philosophy has been in the last 10 years that more and more and more and more, you can't just be a salesperson anymore, especially in the automotive industry. Yeah. You have to be autodidactic. You have to be more, take more of an initiative to learn more about marketing and social media and all these things, and kind of cross over and do cross-pollinate into that whole area of marketing. You can't just let the marketers do it. You got to become a marketer now yourself. So you're not a banker, you're a marketer. You're not a dentist, you're a marketer. You're not a doctor, you're a marketer.
Exactly. By the way, the reason I get you 100% is because, so 2 things. One is that recent studies have shown, and so now we fast forward to the latest studies. 2012, a company by the name of CEB comes out with a book. It's called The Challenger Sale. I don't know if you've read The Challenger Sale. It's an excellent book. Now, it's more B2B, but it's still a good book. And it's the first book that basically creates a taxonomy for salespeople. It says there's 5 types of salespeople. And at the end of the day, we all have the 5 characteristics, but the dominant characteristic is not relationship. It turns out that the best salespeople are challengers. That's why it's called the challenger sale, right? Because if a salesperson can challenge the customer, I'm not saying be a jerk, but challenge the sale, challenge the customer, like, why did you buy that? Why are you making that decision? And then help them make a decision. These are the best salespeople, right? So CEB came out with that and says, and what they're finding out is that, you know, that phrase, insight I gave you, information beyond the obvious. What they're finding out is that you need the help of marketing, and from a corporate standpoint, to create those pieces of insight. In other words, I need marketing to help me find all these pieces of insight. So when I present to the customer, they go, wow, Victor really knows. So marketing is becoming more blended on a B2B level. 100%. Now I go hard over and totally agree with you. When years ago, I was talking to this speaker friend of mine, I won't mention his name, and I remember he's doing well, I'm not doing well. Remember that $17,000 my first year, that deal? And I remember he said to me, he said, Vic, let me ask you a question, because we're talking about business and everything. He said, what business are you in? I go, I'm a speaker. He goes, no. What business are you in? I said, okay, I'm a motivational speaker. He goes, no, I mean, really think about it. Okay, I'm a trainer, consultant. Finally, I got time. I said, okay, what business am I in? He goes, you're in the marketing business first, speaking second. Yep. And that hit me like a ton of bricks, like you don't understand.
I tell clients all the time. Business, right? Like, I love giving that revelation to clients all the time. No matter what industry they're in, I say that, and they go.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way,
you can have the best product and the best sales staff in the world. You can be the best salesperson, but if you don't sit in front of somebody or you don't get on the phone with somebody that knows who you are, you will sell nothing. So marketing is 100%. Hey, real quick, I want to do something real fast. Hey guys, listen. If you're watching this, you know you're gaining a ton of knowledge, and if you're sitting there knowing you're gaining a ton of knowledge, and you're the type of person that wants to help somebody, it would be unethical not to share this video right now. So I'm asking you, hit the buttons, share the video, help others catch on to this information because it's phenomenal. That's all I got. I just wanted to throw that in there.
No, great point. But, you know, the sales, you know, when you look at marketing, and so here's how I think I'm a different speaker. And this is, I don't share this a lot, but I think it's very insightful. And so I remember somebody wanted to charge me $5,000 for a website years ago, and I was like, nah, screw it. I can do it. I'm an engineer. I can figure this out. So I learned how to build my own websites. I learned how to do my own search engine optimization. I got some really cool tricks. I got my own video studio. I record my own videos. I edit my own stuff on Final Cut Pro. If you see all my graphics, I do all that. I'm using like, what's his name? I just bought ClickFunnels. So I've been using ClickFunnels too. That's beast. That's awesome. I don't care if I get in trouble for this, but I dumped Infusionsoft like that. And I'm telling you, I have not looked back and will not look back. ClickFunnels is a great program. I'm telling you, it's amazing. So what I'm trying to say is,
that clip that you just had is play that on his website. Look at what
he's going to play it over and over. Yeah.
Well, it's like what Front Page did for web design.
Oh, yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah. Oh my God, you threw that back, didn't you? You went back there. I know where you're at. But because I used to love Front Page.
I know it's my thing.
Yeah, you know, dude. You know.
Old school.
But Russell Brunson's, you know, that ClickFunnels, I knew it was going to be good, and again, I know maybe it's a commercial for him, but it's like, damn, this is like really good. There's so much stuff integrated into this thing that it's a beast. But all this to say one thing is that most people say, you know, outsource all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I want to control my brand. Look, I can walk into my video studio, which is just a room converted into a video studio. I can record a podcast. I edit my own stuff. I do all my stuff in-house so I can crank out the content and reduce my cost. And so anytime I'm inspired, I walk into the studio, cut something. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs need to do this, like take control. As you pointed out, technology is there. It's available. It's accessible. Why not use it? And so I think that's a big point. By the way, for the question earlier of people wanting to start their own business, there's another tip. Learn how to do a lot of stuff yourself so you can save money by not paying other people to do it for you. Nobody will market you like you market yourself. Nobody will take care of your brand like you will take care of your brand. Screw the outsourcing. Control your brand. Do it yourself. And then when you're making so much money, then hand it over because it's going well.
All right. Question for you, Victor. What advice would you give to a kid that just graduated from high school? They thinking, should I go to college? I don't know what I want to do. What advice you give somebody like that is watching right now?
I'm not of that, you know, again, I mean, let me go anti-guru on you again, okay? Just totally anti what's popular. You know, I often hear this like, you know, you wasted all your money going to college, Victor. You're not an engineer. No. look, I got an engineering degree. 3 years into it, I said, I don't want to be an engineer, right? Most people call that a waste. No, having an engineering degree has made me so much money. I can have conversations at a certain level that most people can't. And so I value a good college education. I really do. Now, having said that, I want to put a little asterisk at the bottom, okay? Just a little asterisk at the bottom that you got to pick a degree if you're thinking of going to college that is going to make you money. See, I looked at engineering first and I said, do they make money? Yes. Okay, let's do that. Now, I'm not going to take art history. I'm sorry, but there's not a demand for art history, right? I don't want, so rule number one, if you're going to go to college, pick a degree that you know is going to make you money when you graduate. Now, you should enjoy it. I did it for the money, and, again, it was a bad move. If I had to do it all over again, I probably would have picked a different degree, but life is what it is. But make sure it makes you money. I have people who have, again, art history degrees, bachelor's of or whatever arts degree. It's not going to help you. If you don't know, if you're a high school student and you don't know what type of degree to get, here's the safe bet. Get a business degree.
Yep.
Get a business degree. That's a safe bet right there. And then, at least when you graduate, after your 4 years, you have an accounting background, you have a financial background, you have some marketing with you, you understand business principles, you can talk intelligently. Again, we often hear about these, kids who don't go to college and they're in high school and they become millionaires. Yeah, we hear those stories and they're true. But let's look at the other 80, 90% who didn't make it, right? And so I'm not a school. Again, if you want to go straight into becoming an entrepreneur and roll the dice, more power to you. But if you don't know what you want to do, if you're unsure, then going to college, getting a business degree, and again, you have options today. I mean, they even have online degrees,
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I don't know if people here know, but I'm actually an attorney,
All right, everybody off this conference call right now.
I went to law school, became a lawyer, and within 2 years, I worked for Goldenbach and Burrell on Fifth Avenue in New York, one of the huge law firms over there, and was an associate. Made probably about $36,000 a year. I remember going to work with my little briefcase, my little suit, with a sandwich in there and whatever. Not making any money. Working in the file room, helping out with research, helping the paralegals. And you know what I did? I threw it all away and started a DJ company to the chagrin of my father.
Yeah. That was a hard move, wasn't it? When I left engineering, that was hard. Was that hard for you?
But it was almost like I did it incognito. I didn't let my dad know. Oh. I was making $150,000 a year as a DJ before I even let my dad know, Dad, I'm not practicing law anymore.
Right. Did you regret getting the degree?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, that's a point of contention because my oldest just graduated from college recently. And as she was going into college, I was like, look, I'm not paying for an Ivy League school. I'm not paying this. I'm not paying that. I don't believe blah, 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 blah. And my wife was always on top of me like, look, just because you didn't do it, don't take it away from her. She may need it, so on and so forth. But she did do ultimately what you just suggested. She went and did business. Now she works for a radio station and she's going down the marketing route.
Yeah.
So hopefully the degree, won't be iHeart, right? Hopefully the degree won't go to waste. But she does have enough of that entrepreneurial spirit in her that I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
All right, Janine, give me a question, girl. Come on. Bring some questions.
I'm trying to watch the comments so that we can see them. And Greg said that he had some questions. Oh, here, it popped up. All right. So this question, Antonio, is from Greg Webb, who is a PowerHouse supporter. He says, what is the number one way to build and retain a sales team? And he said, assuming that the commission structure and industry is a good market and it pays well. So assuming
What was the first part?
What is the number one way to build and retain a sales team?
Okay. Assuming that they have a good compensation structure.
Correct.
Okay. And by the way, and I'm glad he put that in there as a caveat because, I mean, that's you got to put the carrot out there for the salespeople. Sure. Greg, also known as GW. Greg, one of the things I did was, so I took a company that was failing from $14 to $98 million in like 2.5 years, right? And one of the first things I had to determine was, is do we have good clay or bad clay? That's my simple analogy. Right? Good clay or bad clay. Good clay you keep, bad clay you just get rid of, right? So I wound up like firing a third of my people because I also knew that these people weren't going to change. They weren't going to follow the new philosophy of selling on value. And I also knew they were poisoning the rest of my team. So step number one is you got to cut out the bad clay. You know what I mean? That's the painful part. And you know who they are, Greg. I know you know who they are. And you know it because you go home thinking about it. And let me tell you a mistake we often make. We don't get rid of people because it's uncomfortable. But then every day you go home or every month you start thinking about, this person's really causing me some issues, but I don't get rid of them. Again, cut them out. As soon as you can, cut them out. Number two, you're going to have superstars who can sell. Keep them motivated, got the incentive plan, high-five them, be nice to them. That's the easy thing. The ones that you have to take care of are, the majority of salespeople, I think the number is around 75% of salespeople don't make their quota, don't hit their number. And because they don't hit their number, those are the people we have to kind of take care of a little bit, right? Again, don't neglect the superstars. Hug them and love them every day, right? Every day. But let's look at the people that are on the bubble. And what I did is that I realized that a lot of salespeople are good. They just don't know sometimes what to do with them. So one of the things I did was, for those people who are on the bubble, I put them on a 90-day program. And I think I talked about this at 10X. And I'll give you one example of a guy. His name was Joe. Joe had everything. He had the look. He had the talk. He had the knowledge, but he just wasn't closing. And so I put him on a 90-day program and said, here's what I want you to do specifically for the next 90 days. Here are the customers within this region that I really want you to go after. And whatever support you need, I'm there for you. And so every month, well, initially it was every 2 weeks, but then after that, we just went month by month. But for the first 2 months, I was really on him, meeting him every day and walking through some of the issues. And I could tell where he wasn't progressing. And that's where I really started working with him. So there were like 5 or 10 salespeople I really kind of had to hold their hand. And the big thing you can do for them is go visit a client with them to see what they're doing wrong sometimes. Because, again, I believe people are motivated. People want to sell. People want to make money. Sometimes it's not so much about the money as that they just don't know how or have the confidence. So hopefully that answered your question. Good question.
What are some of the ways you do that? You said hug the
superstars, man.
Yeah, exactly. What are some of the ways you do that?
I mean, by the way, the easiest way to hug a superstar, one, make the call. Do you know what I mean? It's so simple just to go up and say, man, I just looked at your numbers, man. These numbers are incredible. Awesome. In fact, I'm sending you something by mail right now. Expect it tomorrow. And then you send them something. It's a dinner card with his wife or her and her husband, right? Or if at the end of the quarter they really nailed it, the person likes to go golfing. You know what? Find one of the best golf courses out there and buy them around. You know what I mean? It's amazing how like a simple gift card, a bottle of wine, even a book as a gift, just something. Superstars don't need anything. They're making so much money, they got everything. You know what they want? They just want a token of acknowledgement. Recognize that. That's all you need to do, man. It's not that hard. That's what I mean by
Great answer.
Yeah, recognition is huge, and then especially personalizing it like that. Knowing your employees.
I had one of my best stories is I had a customer we couldn't get in, but I knew he liked Metallica, right? And so do you remember that Metallica album that they did with the orchestra? It was a huge Metallica album. They had a DVD with it. Well, anyway, I sent them that. I just sent them that DVD set. And all I can tell you is we became brothers after that. It was that simple. It was that simple.
Yeah, people. There's been studies that show that people do more for a pat on the back than for the actual money. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think if you ever read, a good book to read is Daniel Pink's book Drive. If you've ever read Drive,
the book recommendations tonight. I got to go to Barnes and Noble after this.
I got books. I love books. I'm telling you, I got books.
I had a whole bunch of books here lined up for you.
Yeah, I'm like,
Victor, do you have a library in your house?
I do.
Oh.
I do. But my library is special. Do you know why it's special?
Tell us.
I'm going to tell you why my library is special. Let me see if I can do this. Let me see. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to see. It's dark over there.
I
But
know that
what I
some
do
people
is
on the call, that's one of their goals is to have a library.
no. By the way, you got to have my library. Okay, so here's again. I'm going anti-guru again. Just totally. So you ever see these gurus? They crack me up, right? They show you this huge library behind them, right? You ever see that? Like all, like, oh my God, look at all these books. Okay, first of all, let's be real here.
You didn't read them.
One, two, even if they read them, do you think they remember what was in them? No, studies have shown, look, there's something called the Ebbinghaus curve. The Ebbinghaus curve basically says this: you will forget 75% of the information within 24 hours.
Right.
And
What is it called?
What
is it called again?
It's called the Ebbinghaus curve, right? Ebbinghaus. And so Ebbinghaus said, basically, you will forget 75% of your information within 24 hours. But here's the shocking part. You will forget 90% of what you read within 30 days. And you know that 10% you're able to recall, 5% of that is incorrect. So at the end of the month, 30 days, you have a retention rate of 5%. By the way, small tip, if you want to increase your retention rate on a book, read it the second time, go through the notes and the highlights, and then you'll retain about maybe 30, 35%. Just a tip. So having said that, my library is the smallest library you will ever find, because every year, at least twice a year really, but literally at the end of the year, I purge. Any book that doesn't make the cut, I throw away, give it to Goodwill. I have the smallest library in the world because I know what the best of the best books are. That's what I'm saying. I have the gold library, which means to stay on my shelf, it has to be gold.
Yeah.
And by the way, and the way I read books is I have what they call the 100-page rule. The 100-page rule. If I'm into 100 pages and it doesn't capture me, Goodwill. I mean, literally, Goodwill.
Sure.
And so,
I can't use a book.
Don't buy a book at Goodwill because it's not gold.
Well, I mean, it could be. By the way, one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? So
That's true. That's true.
But here's the advantage of having a smaller library. Because I know my books are gold, whenever I need something, I can find the book. Do you know what I mean? When people say, Victor, I need this type of book, I go, got it for you.
Like a reference library.
Yeah. And so I keep the best books. I'll give you, here's a great book. Does anybody want to be a speaker? Want to brand it? Okay. So
Yes.
the book to get that made the shelf is a book called Known. Don't ask me the office.
Who is it by?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I can't remember.
He doesn't know.
But it's known. Just by the way, it's like you want to be known.
Sure.
Right? And so look for it. It's the word known with little lights and everything. That book is, when it comes to branding, pushing yourself out there, really creating a presence on the internet, that book has it down if you want to be a speaker. By the way, that book has more information than full-day seminars I've been to.
On that note, I just want to give a quick shout out to one of your other speakers on that stage that day, Hank Norman, who I got to give him a shout out. He was at the end. Since the Grove Con, I've been very, very impressed with how he's been able to, garner the troops out there and get everybody to Facebook Live and to do more videos and do more stuff and get themselves in front of the camera and things like that. So absolutely, Hank Norman, a quick shout out for that. I've been seeing so many regular people from the masses just coming out, housewives and little old ladies and all kinds of people just getting in there and getting in front of the camera and conquering that fear. And that's amazing because, as you know, public speaking and the fear of heights are the two biggest fears we have.
Yep.
So if you can eradicate that fear, I mean, you can conquer the world.
To add to that, man, that course, for the money you spend on it, is like a bazillion times worth more than what he charges for it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, you have that course, yeah.
So, like I said, there's great material out there. By the way, if you want to be a speaker, the only two books I recommend is there's one by Jane Atkinson called The Wealthy Speaker. The Wealthy Speaker. And by the way, known, I think his last name is Schaefer. But anyway, Jane Atkinson's The Wealthy Speaker is the blueprint. And then if you slap known on top of that, that's how you market yourself. You know, so those are my two favorite books. But again, I'm anti-guru.
Can you repeat that book again?
So two books. One is The Wealthy Speaker by Jane Atkinson, and the book Known. I want to say his name is Mark Schaefer, but I'm not sure. But it's called Known. But those are two great books.
What I'll do after this chat is I'll go ahead and look them up, and I'll put links to their Amazon and their comments so that everyone can check them out.
Yeah. And so, I think it's important. I think it's, like I said, for me, you know, I'm looking at my bookshelf now. It's limited, man. It's about 200 books only, maybe 150.
I like that you call that limited.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not a full wall. You know what I mean? So, you know, maybe it's not that. I got to count them. See, now you're going to make me count these things later on. I'm going to go.
You're going to alphabetize them.
Yeah.
Different order.
Well, you know, just to say, when you have mentioned Goodwill earlier, I mean, I was one of those because I'm a book hog. I have comic books. I have a box full of comic books from when I was 10 years old still, and I'm 50.
Wow.
So I don't throw books out. I used to collect books from wall to wall for years and years, right?
Yeah.
But then at one point we had to sell a larger home that we had and move into a smaller home and all this kind of stuff during the crash. Got rid of all my books through Goodwill. But one by one, again, going back to modern technology, one by one, all those books, I got them again inside my phone digitally.
Yep.
They don't take up any shelf space.
Nope. That's it. I can't do digital, man. For some reason, I got to have the physical book in front of me because I mark up my books. I mean, one of the things I do is when I go through a book, I mark it up.
Yeah. I mean, look, the ones you were talking about. Yeah. I got books, you know. And there is something to holding the book in your hand. I got to get your book now.
Yeah. No. Like I say, everybody.
All over it.
You got 12 books, people. 12 books, not just one book. 12 books.
I'll share with you the list. I'll send you guys a link so you can download them for free, man. So you guys can.
Let me ask you. Let's go there. You know, one of my strengths. I mean, I was writing down your ladder of progress, your progression ladder.
Right.
Like first you went into Toastmasters, which has been something that I've been putting off for many, many years. I want to do, but and then you became a writer later. Well, the other way around. I want to speak one day.
Right.
Get rid of that Spanish accent, you know. And but writing has always been easy. You know, I can write. Writing has always been easy for me. I love to write.
Right.
But how do you write? How many books did you write?
12.
How do you write 12 books? What do you just decide, okay, instead of having a blog, let me put all my heart and soul into writing this book?
Every book is like the last book I wrote is called The Greatest Gift. And I love, like, for example, I don't know. Well, here, some mentors of mine. The person that made me want to go into speaking was Zig Ziglar. When I saw Zig Ziglar, I was like, there it is. You know what I mean? It's like, there it is. That's what I want to do. So that got me going into Toastmasters. But when you're in Toastmasters, keep in mind that you have to write these speeches out when you first start out in Toastmasters. So there's some writing there. And then another person, there's a gentleman by the name, he passed away, but I met him before he passed away, Og Mandino. And most people don't know who Og Mandino is. O.G. Mandino. O.G. stands
He's the legend.
Yeah, most people know who he is. Yeah. By the way, OG does not stand for original gangster. It stands for it's shortcut for August. So they call it OG. He wrote The Greatest Salesman in the World. My favorite book is called The Greatest Miracle. Zig Ziglar over the top.
And this was a $1 find in a thrift store.
Dude, I'm telling you, I visit those myself, man. But Og Mandino wrote The Greatest Miracle in the World, another great book, and it's very fictional but very insightful. And it was, you know, how do I write a book? The topic has to fascinate me. Do you know what I mean? That you want to start digging into it. And so the last book I wrote is called The Greatest Gift. It's a fictional story about two guys having a conversation at a cafe about success. And so I was almost having I imagined myself talking to a guy like Og Mandino and me being younger and having that conversation. And it just flowed, man. You know what I mean? And here's the thing about books. You know, the length is what the length is. You know, I wrote one called The Corporate Inferno. This is when I really hated corporate America, right? Want to get out. It's called The Corporate Inferno, a Sublime Tragedy. And that one's like 220 pages. And that one just flowed out of me. And that one I use Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy as a structure. And so, you know, you got to find that inspiration, that theme that you want. And then for some reason, you start finding stuff you want to write about. I mean, don't force it. Just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations. Wow, that's a lot of books.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the process. It's kind of cool to document some of that stuff.
Yeah. Guys, Dead Air, what's up?
Woo! All right, question for you. What are you working on right now that you said in the future, this is what I want? Where are you going from here? What is it that wake you up in the morning? What is it that wake you up at night? What are you working? What is it that you want?
Oh my God. See, again, I'm just not the guy to talk to about this stuff. I live la buena vida. You know, I live the good life. One could say I'm too content with my life.
There you go.
You know, I have no complaints, man. I got none. You know what I mean? I got none. I mean, I've been very blessed, been married. Me and my wife have been together now 31 years. Married like.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And so the kids are healthy. They're old. They both graduated from college. You know, I just don't have a lot to complain about. So when people say, what do you want to do? I've achieved more than I ever expected to achieve, Chevy. You know what I mean? I mean, I've like everything now is just cherry on top. So when I think about, I don't know, I think I feel like I still need to break that glass ceiling of being the most awesome speaker in the world. You know? You know what I mean? Well, you know, I don't know.
But that's a good goal, because let me tell you, this is why I want to go into public speaking, because as I say to people, look, you nunca te pone viejo.
Yeah. No.
You could be 100 years old and still be a speaker.
You're a sage. When you get older, you become a sage. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
you can never stop getting those speaking gigs, you know?
But I just did 2 weeks ago, I just did an event at the MGM Arena, 12,000 people. Right? And then right here, as I pointed out, one whole season on Spike TV. Dude, I mean, life is good, man. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, so when you ask me what next, I go, I don't know. I mean, I want to make more money and work less. Can I just give you that as a general goal? I want to make more money.
And I just want to say on that note, you know, because that's actually, you're saying that I see, you know, lightly, but it's a very important poignant topic. For this reason, many of us, especially since the Growth Con, I didn't go to the Growth Con, but I noticed this pattern. Ever since the Growth Con, many people out here, and even Grant Cardone, espouses the idea of no balance, of grind, hustle, kill it, 10x, 10x. I have $1 million in the bank, let's say. To me, I'm like, okay. You know, I go to work today. I don't go to work tomorrow. I do what I got to do. I'm happy. If I had, you know, $200,000 in the bank, it's okay for me. Whatever your number is.
Correct.
But there are people, I mean, like a Grant Cardone. Bro, you're making $900,000 a year. You think that's money? You got to be making $100 million a year. You know, grind. I don't believe in that. I believe there is a chance for balance.
I think. Look, by the way, I hear a lot of things, but there's only so much I can absorb. And then, again, it gets back to the original question that you have to be comfortable in your own skin. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, Grant loves that. I mean, he feeds off of that stuff. You know what I mean? And you can tell that that's his happy place. You know what I mean? And you got to love him for that, man. Dude, that's him. And,
I do.
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
But if he's saying, go, I mean, well, thank you for the motivation. But at the end of the day, you determine your own speed and your own balance. You know, it's just that simple. I just remember that what I said earlier. One of the best things you can do for yourself, for your mental health, is stop comparing yourself to other people. That's one of the best.
That's right on.
That's the best advice. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Because my only concern is that some people hear that message or take it in the wrong way, and then they take their life and it's a complete, unbalance, and they can literally go crazy. It's like, look, I didn't make $1 million this year. I'm a loser. And,
I know. That's when it's, and again, I know a lot of people are making a lot of money but are unhappy. But I know people who make decent money but are super happy. You know what I mean? It's all you, man. I listen to what people say. I've heard whether it doesn't matter. The different gurus saying you should be this, you should be that. At the end of the day, you should be whatever you want to be. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm with you. But that's a good point, though.
I'm glad you said those words. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you brought that up.
I find my own balance. I don't care. Like I said, I admire what other people do. But then I ask myself, do I want that lifestyle? And I go, no. Like Mark Cuban, do I want that lifestyle? No. You know what I mean? Do I want his money? Yes. But do I want that lifestyle? No. And so I think you have to check yourself. You know what I mean? You really have to check yourself that you're not doing it because you want to be like that. You're doing it because you really want to do it. And that's hard to do.
Right.
And I think the younger you are, it's harder. As we get older, we become wiser and we see it for what it is. Because you can see the nice cars. Look, and I mentioned this yesterday, Chevy knows this. When I did the show Life or Debt, we had families that from the outside, they looked perfect, man. I mean, they had the house, they had the cars, they had everything. But all I had to do was scratch the surface and the house of cards just fell apart. But from the outside, you would swear they had everything going on.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, look, you just can't compare yourself to other people. We all want to do better. We all want to make more money. We all want financial security. We want to have money in the bank, but we also want to live life a little bit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think we're all struggling with that balance, and everybody has to deal with their own demons. And so I refuse to accept anybody else's demons, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I have one more question for you. All right. I know you're Latino, we Boricua, hablamos español, right? I know I got ETE here. I know Bob Solis speaks Spanish.
Los Latinos.
Yeah, Latinos, man.
La gringa.
Yeah, la gringa. Yeah. Do you do talks in Spanish to people? How do you see the market in the Latino world here in the United States and in other South America, I don't know, Puerto Rico, in those places? How do you see the market about the Latino motivational training, stuff like that? How do you see all that?
So by the way, the week before the Grant Cardone event, I think it's on July 14th, I'm joining my man again, Luis Fallas, has a program called centrodesuperacion.com. And so I have a 6-hour event, and that's all in Spanish. And so, I've had the blessing of, being able to, I don't know if I mentioned, I lived in Argentina with our family for 2 years, and I ran all of Latin America. So, I was forced to really, really learn Spanish and do presentations in Spanish. I think the market is not in Latin America. The Latin American market is here in the United States.
Spanglish.
Yeah. It's Spanglish or first generation Spanish, right? And so I think there's a big market here. And so in Latin America, many of the countries can't afford the fees that we charge here in the U.S., which makes that very difficult. But there's a big, we're the, Latinos, Hispanics, whatever phrase you want to use, I personally don't care. We're the largest minority, another phrase I don't like, but, because it's like, dude, I'm born here. I see myself as an American, and people say, no, you're Puerto Rican. So I just call myself an American, spelled the same way, works for me. You know what I mean? And it's just, the Hispanic market here is growing. And most people don't know that really, when we talk about the Spanish market, let's be honest here for a second. Let's have some real revealing stuff here. When we talk about the Spanish market here in the U.S., we're really talking about the Mexican market. Because they're like 60 to 75% of all Hispanics here in the U.S., right? And so It's a big market. Look at the radio stations. Look at Univision and all these different channels. I mean, it's a great
They're all
market.
Mexican, yeah.
Yeah. What I love is that, my kids are now, pretty much, I'm first generation, they're second generation. They speak a little Spanish. You know what I mean? And I think that happens with everybody. Whether you came here, you're German, by the second generation, you're not speaking German. You're Irish, well, I guess you still talk funny, but we can still understand you. You know what I mean? And so I think it's a good market. One of the things I consciously made a decision not to do, Chevy, this may shock you, is I did not want to position myself as a Hispanic speaker.
I made the same decision. I used to work for Spanish broadcasting. Yeah. And that was I went into, for the first time ever, I went into the Latin market, which was Spanish language market in New York City.
Yep.
We were the first ones to topple Howard Stern in the New York market, Luis Jimenez and all these people with La Mega in New York and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, absolutely. I've had Latin based companies. I had a company called Caliente Mix, and that was always my big headache. I'm Latino, but really these Latinos are cheap, and I don't want to deal with these Latinos. I want to be an American company, not a Latino company.
Yep.
But you really can't help when you have that Latino side. But I will. The only thing I've grabbed onto from my radio experience in the Spanish market was this phrase: English speaks to the mind, but Spanish speaks to the heart. You're Latino, I'm Latino, he's Latino from this. We could be having a conversation in English in any part of the world. The minute I throw in a Latin word, we connect.
Yeah.
We connected immediately because of that Spanish word.
I don't know. So, I think, my philosophy has been, so I'm going to take again, totally contrarian view here. Is I like to transcend race.
Yeah.
Transcend race. I like to get rid of, if I was president or ruler of the world, I'd get rid of all the boxes. There'd be no boxes.
Thank you.
Hispanic, white, there'd be no boxes. You're a human being. Check human being. That's it.
I'm like that.
Look, man, I did my DNA test. Let me see. I came back with Irish. I came back with Ashkenazi Jew, Sub-Saharan African, European, Indian. Dude, there was so much fooling around going on back there. Everything, man. So it's like, I'm a mutt, and I think we're all mutts. That's why I think categories divide, man. I don't like categories.
No, I totally agree. I've never flown any flags. I'm not into that stuff, especially coming from the New York market where everything is, oh, you're Boricua, you're Dominican, no, I'm Mexican, I'm Colombian, all these divisions, I've never been into that.
Yeah, I just don't. But yeah, I think, but it's a good market. Chevy, to your question, it's a good market. I think it's there. It's growing.
He's good, dude.
Step into it.
Good. I was watching him earlier.
Yeah.
Chevy, I have a question, a follow up to a last thing we were talking about. How do you be competitive without comparing yourself to others? I've asked a few people this question, and I like to get the answers.
I heard a long time ago, amateurs compete, professionals create. And I've always loved that phrase. If you kind of just study that phrase, right? Amateurs compete, professionals create. And so I don't know if I'm answering the question, but I try to do, when I look at, other sales trainers, I acknowledge what they're doing, but I still have to create my own stuff. You know what I mean? I try not to be a lemming and say, I'm gonna do what they do. If he does that, I'm gonna do this. If he does that, I'm gonna do that. At some point, you have to start creating your own stuff. And you remember that line? Steve Jobs said something. I don't remember how it went, but he said, why, other people created this stuff. What, you should have the right to create your own stuff also, not just follow somebody. And I've always loved that philosophy. So, I don't know if I answered the question, but when I look at competition, there's always going to be competition, right? There's something called the equality of quality, if I can answer from a manufacturing standpoint. As soon as you develop something, within 3 months, somebody develops something to what? The same, right? But there's something about how you present. There's something about how you talk. There's something about how you deal with people. There's something that simply cannot be duplicated. And that is your persona. And I think everybody has that unique persona. And I think that's something that you can't duplicate. And I think that's always going to be your competitive edge. So when you asked me the question about what my one thing was, and I said I can present, that has been that differentiator for me all the time because I think I'm pretty good at it.
Okay. Just to add to that, when I say competitive, I mean most entrepreneurs and sales type people are competitive individuals, and that's what I meant is how like that you like to play basketball, or you like to play a game, or you like to beat the other guy on the sales board or whatever, and without comparing yourself. It's always been a question in my mind. How do you do that?
I'm not wired that way. I mean, that's my honest answer. I'm not wired that way. Okay. I got friends who just want to win. No, big, let's play another game. No, one more game. I'm like, no, dude, you win. You know, that type of. I've never been wired that way because I'm just not wired that way. I don't. By the way, I'm not kumbaya. Don't get me wrong. I'm not kumbaya. Like, let's all be friends and I'll let you win. I win. No, I'll still try to beat you. But if I don't, I'm cool with that also. You know what I mean? And let's just go back another round. I'll invite you to another round of golf, right? Let's do this again. But it's more fun for me. I think it's I got a friend right now. Big shout out to a guy named Delatoro McNeil. He's a speaker, right? And so we have this thing going on where he creates these graphics, right? I'm like, geez, how'd you do that? And I said, well, watch. I got something for you in the next couple of weeks. And it's a very friendly tit for tat, if you know what I mean. I think kind of we force each other to become better that way.
But it's a healthy way. It's a healthy way.
Yeah, it's collaborative, man. I think also it comes with age. As you get older, you're like, this is ridiculous. I don't feel like competing. It's like when I'm discussing, let's say, politics with somebody, right? I always ask this key question. Are we having a conversation or are you trying to win? Which one? Are we having a conversation or are you trying to win? Because if you're trying to win, you can have it. You win. Now, if you want to have a conversation, we can try to arrive at something. Great. So I'm not very competitive, man. I'm just not wired that way. But
that's an excellent phrase, though. I love that.
Yeah,
I'm using it.
Yeah.
Not only that, wait. Let me drop the bomb. When you realize that the world is not round and we live on a flat Earth.
I don't know where you're going with that, man.
I appreciate that. Dropping those nuggets now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. I belong to the Flat Earth Society. Yeah.
Jeremy, you got a question, Jeremy?
Oh, man. Let me see. I'm looking at my notes here.
Yeah.
I'll put you on a spot. What about ETE, man? Anything? No? I don't want to feel like we're taking over.
Is he good for time?
Yeah, man. This is cool, man. I'm chilling on a Friday, man.
Oh, cool, man. I appreciate it.
Nice.
All right.
Dude, it means a lot that you're here talking to us, man.
We really appreciate it. If we were in the same room, my wife would bring over a glass of wine for you or something. But
great, man. I like red wine. That's my thing, man. Red wine.
I'm humbled to be talking to all of you guys, man. It's just awesome to have something like this available to us.
It is, man. It's great, man. Technology is a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah.
So speaking of, okay, you kind of partially answered this, and I don't mean to sound, but I do realize as I'm listening,
just ask it, man.
As I'm listening to you, I'm smiling because I'm saying, wow, you're at this level, but yet I see so many similarities in our personalities because everything you say is like a big checkoff. It's like, yeah, that's me. I believe in that. That's how I think.
Because we're all the same, man. I'm telling you, you can talk to, look, it's amazing to me how people come up to me and I don't know what they expect. Like, oh my God, it's Victor. And I'm like, yes. You know what I mean? Yes. And, I'm like, you want to go get some coffee? I mean, it's just, we're people. At the end of the day, we're people, man.
Well, I had the runs when I heard you were going to be on. I got nervous.
Dude, I'm just another guy in the grind, man.
And Chevy's like, hey, you better impress him, Bob. I'm like, what do you want me to do?
Call Bob here live.
Well, I got this thing.
I put on clean underwear today. What do you want me to do?
That's too much information. Too much information right there. But I get this thing from Chevy, right? And I'm like, who is this guy? And by the way, your email is very nice, Chevy. I said, this looks cool. Asked the wife, we doing anything nice? She goes, we're chilling. I said, man, I think I'll do this call. She's like, sure, why not? You know. And so, but thank you for the invite, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, I think
we're taking this platform. It's been very, very successful in the brief time we've had it up. We've been amazed and floored with the amount of response we've gotten. And we're going to share this out to everyone, everybody that we know. We're going to spam the hell of it. So it'll definitely, make more people aware of who you are and what you stand for and what you're doing. And that was kind of leading to my question that I was trying to ask you. Although you are, like myself, content more or less where we are,
right.
Where do you see yourself moving? In what space do you see yourself moving? What's next for Victor?
I think so and this is going to sound like an arrogant statement, but it isn't. Is that life, every time I plan something, it never works out the way I want. That's the way life is. We have no control. We only have the illusion of control, right? Check. And so I try to tell myself, remember that Stephen Covey book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
Yeah.
In there, they talk about the circle of influence, right? There's certain things you can't control, but there's with that little donut in the middle, there's certain things you can control. So what am I seeking to control? Maybe that's a better question. What am I seeking to grab onto? And that is, I want to generate over the next 2 or 3 years, and we started already, I'm launching a new platform within the next week or two. For those of you at 10X, you remember Brad Lee?
Yes.
The company Lightspeed VT?
Yes, yeah.
So, yeah, man, they designed my system. And so I just signed off on it yesterday. Oh, the new system they put together, holy.
Well, for training?
Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Big shout out to Brad Lee and the peeps over at Lightspeed VT, man. The new platform. And right now, at this moment, it's better than Grant Cardone's. I'm talking about wait till he sees it. The thing is, what they did is it has new features. I'm talking about the platform has new features. As soon as Grant sees the new features, he's going to port everything over to the new features. He
will.
Oh, yeah. And so it's so I'm looking forward to that. So to answer your question directly is that one of the things I'm working on now for the last year and a half is we've been working on models for generating, 1, multiple streams of income, and 2, passive income, right? And so, whether it's using a platform like Lightspeed VT or other like licensing my material, it's how do we create passive income where I don't have to get on the plane anymore and travel anywhere. So if you ask me what is my desire for the next 3 to 5 years, again, I'm the guy that wants to make a lot of money and not work hard anymore. And so anything that aligns with that is what I'm pushing towards. And so that whole thing about multiple streams and passive income, I'm digging that, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so we're going to try different things. Like I said, we'll try the video thing. We've done exceptionally well with the videos. We're going to try some licensing models. Maybe that'll work as well. And just play with this stuff. And again, it's just, as we, as I don't want to say cruise into retirement, but I start thinking towards retirement, I want to create annuities, right? We got investments, great, but what about passive income to act as annuities? What if we can generate, $10,000 to $20,000 a month just by not doing much? You know what I mean? Working with passive income. And so one of the things I might start doing this year, if not at the beginning of the year, is doing annual coaching. I'll take on only 10 people, for a year and do coaching one-on-one. In other words, be on the phone with them every week, keeping them on track. Because I've been asked to be coached, and I don't do it right now. And so I got to launch a coaching program. And I think that's another thing I'd like to do because that's more passive for me as well.
Yeah.
So
there's no part of you, like for instance, I know, and as far as the coaching, what's that guy's name? He's Latino as well, but he's from Europe. He has a castle somewhere in Europe in Brussels or something, and he invites people. He's a billionaire. He invites people to his castle for a 7-day coaching. You know who I'm talking about, right?
I do. I don't remember.
White hair. He's a little older.
Yeah. He's like 70s, right?
Yeah. He invites people in 10, 15 people to come to the castle, whatever. Anyway.
Yep.
But yeah, I was just going to say that, like for instance, Grant Cardone is driven by, at this point, people say to Grant Cardone, dude, you're worth $500 million. You have everything. why do you keep pushing so hard? Why do you keep doing what you do? Why do you keep doing? Is it the money? Partly, I know Grant is very money driven. It's never enough. But his real core reason, which it kind of inspired me to an extent, is like, and I understand it. He's at a stage in his life where he's like, I want to be known by 7 billion people. Sure. So it's that ego thing. He wants to be known by as many people as possible. So like what I used to say, because people would ask me in my space the same question locally, people that know me and have seen me grow. They'll say, Bob, at this point, what motivates you? Now, of course, we're not talking about comparing myself to you or comparing myself to Grant Cardone, income wise or monetary wise. But, in the communities that I'm in, I make a lot more than the people around me.
Sure.
Right? Because we're talking about people with regular income.
Sure.
Okay. So they say, so what's next? What's driving you? So you have to find that reason of why, for me, it was a progression of, I remember when for me, the thing was quantity.
Yeah.
Man, I got 9 cars.
Right.
Man, I got all these chains. I got all this jewelry, that ghetto mentality. Yeah, I got 150 pairs of shoes, that kind of thing. But then you switch out that quantity for quality.
Sure.
And then you want quality, like you said, your books.
Yeah.
It's not about having 3,000 books. It's about 200 core books.
Yeah. But I want to get back because I don't, let's be fair to Grant. Because I've met him, I've sat down with him. This is a smart guy, right? And I think he's doing what he loves to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he loves to build, but I don't, I don't want to say it's ego. I just think he really loves it. Like he just loves it. He's like a builder of things, right? He just loves it. And so his enthusiasm, the radiation, he just like radiates, and I look at that, I go, huh, cool. And then I hear people say, but why does he want more? To which I always say, why do you care what he wants? Let the man want what he wants.
Right.
If the guy, let him be him. I do you, man.
Do you, yeah.
If he wants to radiate and he wants to do, that is his God-given privilege to do so. And this is what I mean about sometimes we have to stay in our lane and look at our stuff. And if somebody's saying they want to do these things, God bless you. I'm cheering for them. I want them to hit that billion. Hell, screw 7 billion people. Hit 10 billion. Dude, do what you got to do. And then I can meet a guy who says, I just want to make $100,000 a year. Dude, I'm pulling for you too. Do you, man. You know what I mean? And I think that there's a peace of mind there when you do that. Do you, and I'll do me. It's that simple. I'm like,
that's sage advice.
That's sage advice, man. It chills you because you go, yeah, do you, man. And so I get excited. I mean, I believe, I truly, and I said this yesterday, I believe salespeople run the world. I don't care what anybody says. Salespeople run the world because we sell things. But also entrepreneurs, are like salespeople who rule the world, build businesses. And one of the things I admire about Grant, one of the things I admire about, what's his name, Damon John, even Mark Cuban, is that when these people give seed money to these entrepreneurs, and if not money, they give them the energy to go on and create businesses. Let's think about this. This is like really just deep philosophy here, because if there is a guy, and again, let's just use Grant, because I think Grant's a great example of a guy who has so much energy, just radiates, and he activates a lot of entrepreneurs. These entrepreneurs come up and they create businesses. These businesses need people. These people have families. You see the pure ripple effect of that radiation, man. That's why I'm like, I dig that, man. So when I see people like that, I say, dude, radiate, man. Radiate all you want, because you're just energizing people around you to start, to quit their jobs, start their own business, launch an innovative product. Dude, radiate, man. When you see that guy, E.T., the preacher, talk. You ever see E.T., the preacher, the hip-hop preacher?
Yeah.
You listen to him, the guy that puts your head in the water. You want success bad enough to breathe, something like that, right? And you listen to him, it's like he energizes people. So I dig people who energize people. And I think that's powerful, because when we can get people to start businesses and take control of their destiny, start their own business, launch their own product, come up with innovative ways to do something, man, I love that. I really dig that.
Yeah, that's interesting because my whole thing is, I'm seeing you from the point of view of you're a sales master, you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're a trainer, you're a teacher, you're an authority on the process of or the concept of sales and so on and so forth. Now that's a dichotomy, as we know, and talking about cognitive dissonance. How do you handle that cognitive dissonance from the point of I am a sales trainer,
right?
And I teach salespeople
Mm-hmm.
how to make more, how to go for more, how to get more, how to strive for more, how to, climb that mountain, how to be hungry for more, how to excel, how to blah, blah. But at the same time, your personal cognition is, I'm cool.
No,
I'm okay. I'm okay with I'm satisfied.
No, let me be clear. So I'm not the guy that says, go out there, sell, kill the world. I don't do that. So that's my skill part. No, I don't do that. Okay. What drives me, like if you want, again, the combustion, the pure combustion of what I do is that if I have a product, right, and I know this product can help a company, right? I'm like, wait a minute. So my purpose in life is to help a company see the value in my product. They see the value, they buy it. It's what I talked about earlier. Because they buy it, let's just walk through it one more time. They buy my product. I just made their business better. Now, let's say that this business employs 100 people. That was the example I used yesterday. So that means I've helped 100 people stay employed because now that company's better off, right? And those 100 people have 100 families. So as a salesperson, my core is, dude, I just helped you make more money, reduce your costs, expand your market share. You're going to stay in business longer. And in return for highlighting that value, I get value.
Right.
And that's paper. That's money. Now, let's say I work for a company. Not myself. I work for a company. I'm a salesman. Well, guess what? I just got that money because I got the big order, right? I helped that company, but now my company gets the order. It's $1 million. Well, guess what? We employ 100 people. And they have 100 families. Dude, sales truly is a noble profession.
It is.
It really is. And so if you see it from that point, forget about the hype. Like, go sell A, B, C, always be closing. Forget the boiler room stuff, the Arthur Miller death of a salesman stuff, right? Forget all that stuff. And just focus on the fact, and this is what the young man who earlier said, I think Vic was his name, Jeremy. He was afraid to get on the phone, right?
Yeah.
It's because he's worried about, he's thinking about making money. He's thinking about making money instead of saying, how am I helping this company?
Right.
When I sell sales training, you know what I'm doing? I'm saving the company. Why? Because they're not selling. And because they're not selling, they're going to have to lay off people or close down. You see, passion different. That's pure passion driving me. Dude, I'm trying to save your company.
You're looking at the big picture.
Dude, every sale somebody eats. Every sale somebody gets paid. Not just you, but like everybody that's involved in manufacturing your product, delivering your product, selling your product. All those little kids that belong to those people eat when you sell. And that's the purpose of sales for me, is like, because I get to affect the world in such a profound way every time we make a deal. A ton of people benefit from it. Because like you said, sales makes the world go round. It really does.
When you are a product of the product, when you really believe your stuff because you've used it, you've internalized it, you exercise it, it is so much easier to explain to people. And it's not selling at this point, it's just sharing. And you felt it, right? You ever have somebody explain something to you like, dude, I am so in with you, what you're saying right now. Because they get it. You know what I mean? If I didn't like sales, do you think, let me see, have we been on 2 hours already?
2 hours.
Woo! See what I mean? If I didn't like this stuff, there's no way I could last 2 hours. There's no way. Dude, I dig this stuff, man, because it's you know what I mean? So it's not about go kill them, go sales, go make the sales, go kill that deal. No, go help that company, make money, and then let's get some paper in return.
But you know what? My goal was to get you to say that, because don't forget the bigger picture. My goal is to get you to actually verbalize that, because of the fact that so much of the hyperbole that we hear out there and the rhetoric is that other thing.
Yeah.
Kill it, grind it, you gotta get him, you gotta do it, you got, hey, get him, chop his head off, knock his tongue out, blah, 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 you know. So we need to hear that other balanced approach, the nobility in the sale. Find the reason why you want to close that deal. Find how you're going to help that family, that business, that person, that individual, blah, blah, blah. And look at the ramifications of your effort. That's what
I've met.
I want you to verbalize that. See, guys, you gotta follow this gentleman right here. Yeah, it's not all.
I've worked with salespeople who have that mindset. They just want to kill the deal. And again, different strokes for different folks, right? They're purely money oriented. But I think at the heart, each one will tell you, even the most outspoken, that guy, if you ask him, can you sell a product you really don't believe in? He'll say this, yes, but not for long. Because anybody who has a conscience can't sell a product that doesn't work, that doesn't serve people. You know what I mean?
I couldn't do it. I'll be honest. I tried car sales for a little bit because I just wanted to try it. And I sold cars because of pure personality and clicking with customers. But the desk manager disrupted that natural flow. I'm totally against it, and I got my own preaching about that industry. Yeah. Because that's a whole chew his head off mentality, you know, and I don't agree with that. I'm not in sync with that whole flow, you know.
I had a mentor, his name was Jose Santana. And Jose Santana every year hit his number. And Jose Santana was one of the coolest salespeople who, you never heard him yell. You know what I mean? He was like butter. The dude was smooth. Do you know what I mean? It was like when he walked, he'd glide, man. When he talked, there was flowers coming out of his mouth. He was that good. I mean, he was just smooth. You know what I mean? He had that deep voice. Remember Ricardo Montalban?
Yeah.
The deep voice. He was
welcome to Fantasy Island.
He would say my name. He would say, Mira Victor. I go, dude, say that again. I want to hear it like that because he goes, Mira Victor. And he was just, just the voice. Everything was about him was like very professional. And he was the guy that was he was always suited up, had the little handkerchief, but very classy all the time. So that was my role model.
And that was you, a man, acknowledging that. Imagine how he is with the ladies.
Oh, no. The secretaries loved him. No. That's another story. They loved him. But even the men clients loved him because he's the one that taught me how to give little gifts here and there. I remember going with him on sales when I went on ride-alongs with him. We'd stop. He's got all this stuff he's picking up. And I'm like, what is all this stuff? And once he got to the office, the little gifts I picked up for the secretary. It was just, he knew how to touch everybody. And again, when you're in B2B sales, it's not about go in there and chop their heads off because on average, what was the last study that said it now takes 6.8 people, pretty much 7 people to sign off on a deal, right? And the average B2B sales cycle is 8 weeks. So these are not hard closes. I don't come from that school. I come from the school of work the system, work, with different people, make everybody feel part of the team, and just keep, moving that thing forward. And so, I had a different role model. So again, my style is different. I don't have that, again, I'm not wired that way. I'm just not that way.
Yeah. All right, Victor, one more time, mention your website. Where can people go and get more information about you? I want everybody to follow Victor Antonio right now. Like his video, watch the video that he did yesterday. Join his program, buy his book. He got 12 books. You guys have to go there and just submerge yourself into this guy because he's a wealth of knowledge.
The program is good, man. The website is called seminarsonselling.com. And it's an intense program, and there's a lot of stuff in there. If you're a manager, there's some programs in there. If you're a salesperson, there's definitely a lot of material. So seminarsonselling.com.
That's great. All right, Victor, I don't want to burn more of your time. I know you were very grateful. Give us 2 hours,
Wow. And you just said 15 minutes, didn't you?
I know. I go for 15 minutes, and I said I will buy you some tostones next time I see you.
Can't trust these bald guys.
That is awesome, man. I just want to thank you for being here with us tonight, sharing your knowledge, sharing everything that you have. Yeah, no, I did say 15 minutes, but you know, you that's
It happens. It happens, bro.
you know.
It happens, man. Thank you, man. Thank you guys for allowing me to be part of this.
So much.
I had fun.
An honor.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, man. Signing off. Later, guys.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you.